Come in.
It's our favorite subject.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting together for the Audit and Finance Committee, Thursday, November 16th, 2023. It is 6:32. And we'll start by having attendance by council.
Sure, Madam Chairwoman. Ms. Willingham?
Present.
Peter?
Here.
Bergdorf?
Here.
Clay?
Here.
Grimm?
Here.
Ray Joyce?
Here.
Lakakis?
Here.
Mayo?
Here.
And Camiso?
Here.
All present, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll get started, and we'll move right on to number one.
Item 1 is approving the previous minutes.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to move this.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion from Mr. Peter. I got a second from Ms. Lakakis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to number 2 now, and our presenter will be Judge Herrick.
Item 2 is amending the 2023 Public Affairs Office budget for administrative adjustments. Judge?
Thank you very much. Good evening and congratulations. This is a 2023 budget cleanup proposal, RLA. There are no positions being created or eliminated by this request. All of the adjustments are budget neutral. There are 5 positions in the 2023 budget that are new titles, and they are created from previously existing object code items. And this is to create or prevent a negative budget lines. So it's just a transfer of funds to prevent a negative budget either in the new title or in the old title. That's the only change. I've already presented in the 2024 presentation that we're eliminating the old titles.
Do I have any questions from the members?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to move this if there are no questions from any of the other members.
I got a motion from Mr. Peter. I got a second from Ms. Lakakis. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. We'll move on to number 3.
Item 3 is authorizing an agreement with BST and Company CPAs for independent auditing services.
Ms. Rizzo, how are you this evening?
Madam Chair and members of the Audit and Finance Committee, the Department of Audit and Control is requesting approval to exercise the first of 2 one-year options with BST for independent auditing services of the 2023 fiscal year. Total amount is $144,000. Request approval.
Do I have any?
I second that, Madam Chair.
Okay, I got a motion from Mr. Clay. I got a second from Mr. Peter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Item 4 is authorizing an agreement with Capital Markets Advisors regarding financial advisory services.
Members, the Department of Audit and Control is requesting approval to exercise the second of 2 one-year options with Capital Markets Advisors for financial advisory services during the period of January 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2024. I request approval.
I make a motion, Madam Chair, if there are no
I got a
questions.
question.
You got a question, Mr. Grimm?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, how well did they do the first year? The advice, how successful was the advice from your point of view?
Capital Markets,
Yeah.
I think they're absolutely fabulous. They do, when we borrowed money, especially when we borrowed for the TAN, sorry, the RAN, we got a 0.59% interest rate. So I think that they're very well known in the market on Wall Street, and they do get us good pricing.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
That mic isn't on.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to move this.
Did you just say something?
Hello?
Okay, very good.
I won't turn it off.
You got a question, Mr. Umberger? Okay, I got a motion from Mr. Peter. I got a second from Mr.
From the way it is the motion.
I got a second from Mr. Bergdorf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 5 is amending the 2023 District Attorney's Office budget for computer equipment and overtime. The TA is here this evening.
Mr. Soros?
Your Honors, thank you very much. The first item that we have before this body is a request for legislative action to allow the Office of the Albany County District Attorney to move funds, much like the Public Defender had previously mentioned, end-of-the-year cleanup that would allow for us to move funds into two lines. These funds coming from a total of about 10 lines. One line being our overtime line, the other line being our computer equipment line. Fortuitously for us, we've had the opportunity now, an opportunity that presented itself very recently to us to partner with the unified court system in bringing greater technology into the various courts at 6 Lodge Street. And therefore, these funds would be used, again, in the first RLA for addressing our overtime needs that we have moving from this point to the end of the year, as well as for the technology and equipment in partnership with the unified court system.
Any questions? Am I ready to entertain a motion?
I'm actually raising my hand.
Okay.
Quick question.
Yes, sir. Mr. Bergdorf?
Did I read this correctly, that we're going to make a one-time contribution and the uniform court system is going to maintain it in perpetuity?
Correct.
Sounds like a good deal.
It is.
I would move it, Madam Chair. If anyone has any other questions.
Madam Chair,
You got a second?
I would second it, and I just want to make a note that we unanimously moved this in law because of, with the unified court system, it made perfect sense. So I would second Mr. Bergdorf's motion.
So I got a motion from Mr. Bergdorf, I got a second from... I got a motion from Mr. Bergdorf, I got a second from Mr. Peter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Unanimous, thank you very much.
Item 6 is amending the 2023 District Attorney's Office budget for administrative adjustments.
Yes, this is a request to move funds to cover negative balances and/or shortfalls. Specifically, we're asking to move $5,000 from the 1997-0 temp helpline to sick leave incentive 19850. We're also asking to move $1,200 from the temp helpline to the clothing and allowance line that we are contracted to provide for our union
Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question, Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Grimm?
Clothing for prosecutor, who?
No, it's
tell me about that.
our investigators.
They need totally before the.
It's just part of the unionized
It has to
contract.
say what the name of, what they're doing or something?
It does. We have arson investigators that are required to wear specific materials when they're investigating those cases. We have requirements that they wear specific footwear, headgear, and gloves when they're visiting crime scenes, and so that's part of their collective bargaining arrangement, and that specific line in our budget is at a deficit at this point.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to move this. Second.
I got a motion from Mr. Peter, I got a second from Mr. Clay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you, you too.
Item 7 is authorizing and directing the Board of Elections to certify expenses regarding the 2022 election cycle.
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman.
Yes, good evening. Could you use the mic, please?
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Nana will be presenting tonight.
Wow, okay. The Board of Election is seeking approval for chargeback certification costs associated with the election held in 2022. The county will bill local municipalities for their share of the cost totaling $1,146,729. The increase in cost for election over 2021 is due to the fact that we had 3 elections in 2022, which will be the local and state primary, the federal primary, and the general election.
Okay, do I have any, Mr. Bergdorf?
One question for either of the commissioners. I see that the poll site fees in Town 8
Yes.
they sort of lead the band. Is that because we left all the fire departments now and we have?
We're absolutely, Yeah, so we're creating more equity in terms of availability to voters around the county. We are assessing where we are in need of additional poll sites, and we're absolutely adding poll sites in Colony, proportional to the need, which was an increase in the population in Colony, which has at this point surpassed the city of Albany.
But we don't have as many poll sites as the city of Albany, right?
Right, but some of the poll sites, so just so you know, we've established a general rule now, which we're doing from year to year, per our discussions last year, which is that some of the poll site fees, for example, for early voting, is going to be distributed, the cost, according to population, voting population, and poll site fees in Colony are significantly lower, if you see, than Albany, because either they have no fee associated with some of these sites, they simply don't charge us, especially sometimes if it's a town hall, for example, or if it's a fire department, they just want a smaller donation. So there are many contributing factors to what reduces the cost of the poll site fees that are charged back to a municipality.
Okay, I just wondered why it wasn't sort of linear.
Yeah, and they have less poll sites, but we're definitely adding more poll sites.
All right, so I noticed there's I noticed that there's $150,000 difference between Colony and the city of Albany
For,
their totals for 2022.
right, so that's attributed to the significant increase in costs for poll sites in the city of Albany. For example, we have, I think it's almost like double what, well, St. Sophia is always expensive, but we have double the amount of poll sites in the city of Albany than we do in Colony, and that's primarily attributed to the fact that Albany is obviously a more walkable community, and, you know, to create greater access to voters, to poll sites, and then don't forget that it's not just a poll site fee that increases, you also have number of inspectors that work at these poll sites. So, you know,
Okay, so I got a question.
sure,
So the early voting poll site fee,
are assessed differently than the election day poll site fees. Because early voting poll site fees are determined by voting population, by the enrollment numbers in that particular municipality. And election day poll site fees, which you know are far more numerous than early voting day sites, are determined by number of sites in the municipality. And as the number increases, so does the number of inspectors that we have to pay.
all right, so because the Board of Elections is located in the city of Albany, and I'm just wondering how we still came up with $6,000. Was that for just Saturday and Sunday and evenings? Are you charging us?
No, yes, I am charging, because I don't charge a municipality based on whether or not they have an early voting site. I charge each municipality based on the number of enrolled voters in that municipality. So it's prorated accordingly.
Okay.
So if you look, it's like Albany's population is slightly below Colony, that's why it's 6,000 as opposed to 7,000.
Mm-hmm. All right. Mr.
Yeah,
Kern?
yeah, thank you. I'm just curious, do we have a list of polling sites per municipality?
Yeah, of course.
Because it seems like they vary.
They do.
So Albany has more polling sites.
Significantly more, yes.
Does that make it easier to vote if one place has more polling sites than another, or no?
I would argue that, you know, the population in the city of Albany relies more on public transportation, and they are more walkable communities than someone in Colony who would probably more likely to drive. So,
I'd be curious on the list, how many per population per municipality?
yeah, but just so you know, it's also very difficult to find poll sites in you know, the towns as opposed to the city. Cities tend to have more community centers, libraries, schools, even though they're all kicking us out. So, you know, there's also another reality that has to be factored into this. There's just not as many sites available in the towns.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Mr. Peter?
Just a quick comment, just to follow on what the commissioner said. So for example, in my ward in the city of Albany, until this last election cycle, there was 0 parking, you know, on 3 poll sites. It was all walkable There's on-street parking, but that was usually done by residents. So you have to sort of have them if you don't have the off-street parking because of the walkability and public transportation. So just to follow up what the commissioner said, and I would also make a motion to move this if there are no further questions.
All right. I got a motion from Mr. Peter, I got a second from Mr. Bergdorf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy
everyone.
Thanksgiving.
Item 8 is the bond resolution of the County of Albany, New York, authorizing the borrowing for the Shaker Place Garage and Parking Lot Extension in the amount of $9.295 million as part of the Albany County 2024 to 2028 capital plan. Director Olson and Sean Dillon are here this evening.
Good evening, Mr. Olson, how are you?
I'm very good. Good evening, Madam Chair. As stated, this is for a bond resolution for the nursing home and in combination with the DPW to construct a parking garage and some parking lot extension. The amount of the project is $9.295 million. And we do anticipate that a minimum of 30% will be reimbursed through the Medicaid system that we currently work within as a capital project.
Do I have any questions? Mr. Bergdorf?
Is this parking garage also going to be shared with other agencies?
Right. It's actually a garage. It's an equipment garage. It's going to be shared between the nursing home and the Department of Public Works. Yeah.
So they're picking up a portion of the debt service?
That's my understanding. Correct.
Okay, so you're probably, I don't know what the split is, but your 30% is probably, if it's a 50% split, you're going to pay two-thirds of, you're going to get two-thirds of your share reimbursed with Medicaid, not just 30%.
Well, we're anticipating at least 30% of the total cost of the project.
Well, that,
Right.
Right, but DPW is going to be paying
Correct.
Yes.
by a capital chargeback, right?
Yes.
I see Mr. Riley shaking his head.
Take it from him.
That's all I need.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Lakakis?
Just wondering what the green building aspects of this project might be. Have you fleshed them out a little bit more yet, or?
Yeah. Actually, Sean, you want to address it?
Yes, we have. We wanted to make this like, as green as possible. We're looking at geothermal for the heating productions and solar additives for the roofing. Now, we're still in the design phase. The RFP hasn't gone out yet, and the feasibility of those are just being explored, part of the RFP, though.
Because I know that the DPW building that at least Raimondo was telling us about out in, it's going to like catch water and use it for rinsing off machines and, trucks and stuff. And it sounds really fantastic, and I hope we can use that as an example to get as much out of it as we can. It's a huge investment for a garage.
Yes, it's.
Thank you.
Do I have any other questions? Okay, I got a motion from Mr. Bergdorf, got a second from Mr. Peter. All those in favor? Unanimous.
Item 9 is amending the 2023 Department of Residential Health Care Facilities budget for administrative adjustments. Director Olson.
Thank you. This is a 2023 budget cleanup. Throughout the year 2023, the vast majority of the savings on the cleanup is from vacant positions we haven't been able to recruit for up until this point this year, and that resulted in increased costs relative to overtime, using agency staff, and temporary positions. That is the lion's share of the split of the savings and the expenses. It does come out to be budget neutral, and I'll entertain any other questions.
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion if there are no other questions.
I got a motion from Mr. Peter, I got a second from Ms. Lakakis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Let's see who's next. We finished that. Wait a minute. I got to go this way.
I think so.
Good evening, Mr. Riley.
Good evening, Madam Chair.
Number 10.
It's fine. Item 10 is authorizing the conveyance of real property located at 107 Spawn Hollow Road in the town of Bethlehem.
So, Madam Chair, similar to most of these meetings, this was done via the property disposition plan. These are the immediate abutting owners. They've offered $1,000. They have also submitted their plans for demoing, cleaning up all the potentially hazardous material that is on the property and joining with their tax parcel to be a permanent homestead for their family.
Any questions?
If there are no questions?
I'll second it.
Okay, so I got a motion from Mr. Peter, I got a second from Ms. Lakakis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Thank you very much.
We are off on to number 11.
11 is amending the 2023 Albany County budget for New York State Healthcare and Mental Hygiene Worker Bonus Program vesting period 4.
Good evening. So this is requesting authorization to do a budget amendment. We are submitting on behalf of 87 employees for the 4th vesting period of the New York State's Healthcare and Mental Hygiene Worker Bonus Program. This program affords individual employees up to $3,000 in, I guess, a bonus stipend to be paid at the end of a 6-month period if they remain employed with an eligible employer. The total cost of this budget amendment is $114,656. This is inclusive of the stipend to employees and then the employer's share of FICA. If there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Okay, so I have a question. But I'll defer to any of the members. Okay, Mr. Grimm.
Go ahead. That's fine.
That's all right.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I think this started after COVID, but how long is this going to last? Or this is,
So this is the 4th of a potential 5 vesting periods, so 6 more months.
thank you.
All right, so you said this is 4 or 5?
4 or 5, yep.
Have we participated in all 4?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me, since an employee an employee is eligible for 2 vesting periods, okay? So can you tell me how many employees we have given a bonus to?
I can provide that information in follow-up. I did an analysis previously, and I'm happy to do that same analysis for this exercise too.
Can you tell me how much money we've given out?
I can follow up. The good news is it's not county funds, it's just state funds. They're just being passed through to employees. It's in the ballpark of about $500,000
For
the previous 3 vesting periods.
For the previous 3?
Yes.
Okay, all right, but not the 4th one?
Nope, this one is just over $100,000. So how it works is we submit on behalf of employees who we feel meet the eligibility criteria. If for some reason the state comes back and determines that they were already claimed by an employer previously and they've already received $3,000, then they'll be determined not to be eligible and they won't send us that money and then we won't pay the employee.
Mr. Bergedorf.
Is one employee reimbursed for multiple vesting periods? Or are these different people hitting different eligibility standards as we go on?
So this is the first time that New York State is allowing retroactive, claims. So if somebody was missed previously for one reason or another, they were allowed to, catch up this cycle. But employees throughout since the start of this program, they're only eligible to receive a maximum of $3,000. So the verification, I'm fairly certain, is based off of Social Security number. We provide a whole bunch of information to New York State before they review the claims.
So it's not like you start over again?
Correct.
Because the vesting period.
Yeah, or if you switch employers, you're not starting over again.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, make a motion?
I got a motion from Mr. Peter, got a second from Mr. Bergedorf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, thank you very much. We are now move on to number 12.
Item 12 is amending resolution number 188 for 2020 and authorizing the conveyance of real property located at 2A Lincoln Ave and 201 Spring Street Road in the town of Colony.
All right, so we have Mr. Rogers and Mr. McLaughlin. Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So this is a very exciting one for us, and I just want to give a little bit of context for why that is. What we're putting forward today is a property transfer of the Altech Steel site, which has been is the largest and is also one of the most challenging brownfield sites that we have in our county. We've had success, as you know, in the last few years since the formation of the Alliance in attracting major employers to the county in our strategic industries. The biggest impediment to continuing to do that is having shovel-ready sites where we can land these companies. And the Altech site, because of its size and because of its power supply, it has the benefit of being directly next to national grid transmission lines, represents probably our single most highest opportunity site in terms of investment in the county. And so the way this works, the way typically this is handled is because it's a brownfield site, what is authorized by the legislature is a conditional authorization pending a finalized agreement between the Alliance and DEC. And that agreement is a release of liability for any past contamination on the site. We, on the Alliance side, have been working with DEC for over a year and have made tremendous progress toward that agreement. We're very close. We have outside counsel assisting with that through the Alliance and are asking to tonight authorize that transfer, again, conditional on that agreement with DEC being finalized. So happy to answer any questions that you might have. Again, this is one that we're very excited about.
Mr. Bergdorf, please.
Who holds title to the property today?
Former owner.
Which is?
The company that came after Altech Steel. Technically, Altech Steel was sold. I don't actually remember the name of that property. Realco.
Bankrupt and defunct for 10 years.
Yes, but they hold title to the property.
So what is the mechanism? Do we take it?
There'll be a deed and assignment process by which law, and of course there's some legal minds in the room, so please help me. I just married an attorney. Will take the property and through the closure process when they come in, when the Alliance comes in to sign on the dotted line after they have their correct assurances from DEC, will pass deed title straight through to the new holder, and it won't touch the county.
And the new holder will be the Alliance?
Yeah, likely an
LLC
subsidiary.
Subsidiary for the environmentally challenged property.
Exactly, similar to what the land bank,
That we created a couple of years ago.
Yeah, the land bank has a similar LLC for that purpose.
So this is going to go to Altech. So have you had communication with town of Colony as to what your intentions are to do?
We've had initial, communications, and what this allows us to do is basically begin what we call the pre-development process. So start looking at things like seeker, which obviously will engage with the town. Start looking at, planning and zoning, and but yeah, we've had communications with the town. It's been a priority for the town as well. It was in a brownfield opportunity area study that they did a few years ago. There's been success in the area from other private industry, a Louisiana company, in revitalizing a few of the neighboring sites. So it really is, they're aware and we're communicating with them.
Who are you working with in the town?
It goes, planning and economic development primarily, and obviously we engage with the supervisor as well.
Okay. And when this is done, even though it is owned by a municipality, which may not technically be subject to zoning, or building codes, or how is that going to work? What role is the town of Colony going to play in the redevelopment of this?
It depends on what shape that development takes. So obviously, it's something that if the Alliance is in a leasing position, it's one thing. If it's sold, then that's a different story. But exactly. But there's going to be close engagement with not only the town but also the city. As you probably know, it's directly, even though it's in the town, it's directly adjacent. You're on the property line basically. So we'll have a lot of coordination on that, on and site access and yeah. So this really allows us to begin that process.
All right, thank you. Can I just ask you another question? I see here where the Alliance has, this is as of 2021, okay, shovel-ready sites. Do you know how many it is? How many of those sites we have?
How many shovel-ready? So we did the study in 2021, which is, I think, what you're referring to. And what that basically did, the way I like to describe it, it's not that we expected to go out and magically find a bunch of shovel-ready sites that didn't already exist. If those existed, then frankly, the private sector would have grabbed onto them and would be developing them. We identified the best candidates to become shovel-ready sites that with some investment and some strategic planning could be what Altec can be. And so the site basically ranked, here's your best 15 candidates for that. Here's your next 30 or 40 once you've had the chance to, to work through the top ones. So we have a lot of good candidates. We have obviously some sites in the county that are ready for development today, but this is part of the process of, you always have to be planning ahead with this. Vista Tech Park is great. We hope that in a few years Vista Tech Park is full. What do you do next? And so that's part of this process.
Mr. Bergdorf.
Probably the answer is we don't know yet. Not that I want to give you out, but this is a massive chunk of land. Would we be talking about a redevelopment plan? Could it range from major development, industrial office park, or conceptually, are we talking about quadrants with different types of development, or is it too early to even know?
It's too early to say definitively. What I can say is you can see there's a map. We did a preliminary site layout. You could have, it's really going to depend on what the best opportunity is for the county. You could have a single tenant or you could have 2 or 3 tenants. It's, you're not going to put residential here. The Superfund status would never allow for that. So you're talking industrial, light industrial, commercial. Industrial today is not what it used to be. These are, if you've seen the site at Vista, for example, these are clean, sharp facilities that are more in the advanced manufacturing side of things. But that sketch is basically one conceptual use of the land based on the site configuration.
All right.
Hopefully that answered your question. Somewhat. Yeah.
Did I see your hand up, Mr. Grimm? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a brownfield site, which means there was contamination or is.
This one's pretty much verified.
Yeah.
So the county can't be held liable for contamination. What if contamination is discovered, then who is liable for it?
So we know, this is a Superfund site, so we know there's contamination. And to their credit, DEC just invested millions of dollars in a significant remediation of this site where they removed all of the buildings and the ground level contamination. So that's what unlocked the potential of this site. It was too challenging of a site, frankly, for just a developer to come in. That investment addressed a lot of the needs in our negotiations with DEC, and this has included county attorney's office, in-house counsel for the Alliance, as well as outside counsel who specializes in brownfields, is they're going to be looking for us to cap the site. And what we're negotiating is a liability release so that the Alliance cannot be held responsible for any of the previous contamination that is found on the site. If there's future contamination, which obviously there won't be, but that's a different story. But in terms of anything existing or holdover from previous activities, that's the point of that agreement with DEC.
But there's significantly more remediation that has to take place.
Primarily capping, so there's a cost to that, but that's the main expectation is capping and groundwater monitoring to make sure that nothing is coming off the site.
Thank you very much.
One more question.
One more.
Is a commercial space like this under the hands of the Alliance or a pass-through corporation eligible for low or no interest capital funds from the Environmental Facilities Corporation?
What we expect to be the best route, and I don't want to get too far into this, but is we are working with DEC to try and get this site eligible, and we expect to be able to do this for the DEC Brownfield Cleanup Program. That is a tax credit, and it is probably the most generous development tax credit that is out there in New York State. So we are hopeful that that will happen, and that will be the best route from a state incentives perspective. You know, we'll look for grants, but what really makes these deals work is that program, and I don't want to assume anything, but we're moving in a good direction so Superfund sites typically are not eligible for those credits, and I think DEC sees the promise of this site.
Good, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I just want to thank you for taking the time out to answer all of the questions. I found this to be a very interesting topic, and also to give us shed more light on what I always get the name Albany County Advance Alliance.
Just the Alliance.
The Alliance. And some.
No, my pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, I appreciate it very much. I got a motion from Mr. Peter. I got a second from Mr. Bergdorf. All those in favor? I didn't hear anything. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Item 13 is authorizing the purchase of real property known as the Switskill Farm located at 165 Game Farm Road in the town of Bern.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, from a verifiably contaminated property to one that is pristine, we are requesting authorization to purchase 358 acres in the town of Bern and basically bring it into county holdings for public use and preservation. For those of you who've been here long enough, the county was involved in the initial acquisition of this property through the town of Bern through the CRC. And so we are basically buying out the local portion that we weren't involved in and taking control of the property. After an initial period of good, positive use and development, it's become obvious that the town is no longer interested in holding the property and utilizing it in any way. And due to the significant restrictions on the property associated with how it was acquired and then advanced to its previous owner, which was a Buddhist organization, it's not a property that you could develop in any significant way. So it has a significant trail system. It's a beautiful piece of property. It's the highest point in the county. I encourage all of you to go and take a look at it if you have the opportunity. Once we finalize the acquisition, if we're able to achieve approval here tonight. And frankly, it goes, I guess it should be mentioned, there's been significant discussion during the budget process about the legislature's interest in doing more of this sort of thing. So it seemed like a perfect opportunity to advance a purchase like this to you folks for approval.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Madam Chair? Can you give me a little clear idea of what you have planned for it? Because obviously you wouldn't be buying it. I mean, you said public use and preservation, but do you have any idea where that might be?
So we have absolutely nothing planned. No, I'm kidding. What will have to happen is because it's a new property, and we're gonna have to roll it into the capital program, right? So the initial effort is basically going to be getting DGS, DPW out there. So I'll try to be brief. It was owned by a Buddhist organization as a retreat property. It does have a couple nice buildings on it. The buildings are in need of repair. So I guess in the foreclosure world, which is typically where you see me discussing property, we need to get up there and seal the envelope, get the moisture out of the building, stabilize the buildings, make sure that they're mothballed, okay, until we can get full assessments done of the infrastructure and resources on the property. You'll notice the map on the RLA. There are areas that have development potential, and that development potential, by the way, is that we're not talking hotels and casinos. We're talking very light development of communal space, perhaps the expansion of existing spaces. But between the wetland space and the conservation easement space outside of that, we basically have the opportunity to create public infrastructure, which would be roads to get in, and maybe some bathrooms, and take the existing larger structures, and get them back to solid ability to use them by the public. Next to that, there will be an effort to get the trails maintained again. Nothing too significant, really making sure that trees that have fallen and blocked paths are removed, things of that nature, because outside of the developable property, the yellow line on the map, that's really all that is allowed on the property going back a very, very long time. So, and that really is the purpose, no different than we have at Anley Pond or Lawson Lake, is to have a solid, public resource for folks to use. And frankly, just to kind of get it a little more functional than it currently is, because the municipality currently isn't willing or able to kind of engage in that.
All right, thank you. Mr. Bergdorf.
Is it fair to say that this land could essentially become a recreational space which would be jointly used by the town of Bern and available to Albany County residents?
I didn't mention it, but we have mentioned this to Majority Council, that the request does include authorization, or I guess asking permission to enter into an MOU. I guess you'd call it a right of first refusal, or the locality want to use the property and have a conflict with somebody, they get the right of first refusal. They're not using the property significantly, so they've assured us that they don't see themselves going into the, wedding coordinating business anytime soon, but certainly we would always defer to local control, or I guess local desire to use the property. That's perfectly fine.
I guess the only question I have, and I'm not opposed to this, or supportive, is we are purchasing it from the town of Bern.
Correct.
The town of Bern's given us $150,000.
No, we're giving the town of Bern.
We're paying now.
Yes.
$150,000.
Yes, so the original CRC put in $150,000 originally in conjunction with the town of Bern, and it was originally supposed to be joint, and then the town said, no, we want to take full control, and they basically pulled back on that after several years, and we've stepped in to take full control.
We're buying out there.
Correct.
But then we're giving them to use it.
14 and 15.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's no different than, yeah.
Ms. Lockhart.
I'm not on the committee, but it's okay to ask
Oh,
questions?
absolutely.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I heard you right, but it's 350 feet, 58 acres.
Correct.
But is it joining land we already own?
No, it is not. It is a standalone property, not connected to any county holdings. Yep. This is a new piece of property, yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Am I ready for a motion?
Okay,
Okay, I got a motion from Ms. Lakakis. I got a second from Mr. Clay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous, thank you very much.
Item 14 is authorizing the acceptance of grant funding from and an agreement with the U.S. Department of the Treasury regarding the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund Program.
So, Madam Chair, these are funds that were made available by the U.S. Treasury as part of the federal stimulus of 2022 and 2023. I'm actually going to let Mr. Alderson jump in here because he put this one together.
So to piggyback off of what Dave already shared, I think $1.5 billion was eligible to tribal governments and revenue-sharing counties as part of the American Rescue Plan Act. The County of Albany was awarded $100,000, which is the base level of funding that was awarded to other counties as well. So we're just looking to recognize that revenue and bring it on budget.
Okay. There are no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Question?
Mr. Graham.
So, we don't have any tribal governments in Albany County,
Correct.
but we have Native Americans who are being paid based on how many Native Americans we have, or how do they figure this out?
So other tribal governments got significantly more money. I think the $100,000 to counties across this country was to kind of get the support needed to get this measure approved at the federal level. So even though it's called the Tribal Consistency Fund, we are still beneficiaries.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Make a motion, Madam Chair.
I got a motion from Mr. Peter, and I got a second from Mr. Clay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous.
Item 15 is authorizing the acceptance of funding from New York State regarding the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program in Albany County.
So as part of the state's budget this past year, one of the legislative member items was to award Albany County $300,000 to continue to expand the LEAD initiative throughout the county. This is just to recognize the revenue and bring it on budget. We'll come back early next year once a kind of a spend plan is finalized to award those contracts.
Make a motion, Madam Chair.
I got a motion from Mr. Peter. I got a second from Mr. Clay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous.
Item 16 is amending the 2023 Albany County budget for end-of-year adjustments.
So, Madam Chair, as you heard the nursing home and the sheriff earlier, there's been other departments coming through. This is simply the big cleanup at the end of the year we do for all of our negative lines or lines that we are projecting to go negative in the last few weeks of the year. This is simply an administrative budget neutral transfer.
Madam Chair, if there are no questions, I'd make a motion to move this.
Okay, I got a motion from Mr. Peter. I got a second from Mr. Kakis. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you very much.
The last one? Can I?
Make a motion to adjourn, Madam Chair.
Okay, before we adjourn, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone and have a safe holiday very much. And thank you for all the work you've done. Thank you.
Thanksgiving.